There are some simple, basic steps that you can do right now in your garden to maintain your flowering annuals and shrubs to ensure that they go the whole season long. Stay with me as we do some work back here in the patio. Good morning, friends. Welcome to Gardening with Creekside. I am Jenny, and here we are on the back patio. And today I'm going to do a little bit of maintenance on both my flowering annuals and my roses. So I thought that you might find it interesting to come along with me as I show you how I'm going to do some basic maintenance on these plants to ensure that they give me lots of color and lots of performance all the way through the fall. There's just some really simple things that you can do right now to really just give you lots of flower power throughout the entire season. Remember, we are in North Carolina, a zone 7B, so our growing time is really a long season. We will keep these plants flowering and happy all the way, probably at least through October, possibly into November, just depending on the weather and when we get our first frost and freeze. And if you will remember when we were back here, gosh, I think in early July, I was telling you that we're going to be hosting a wedding party here in September. So the pressure is on Jenny to make sure that this space is absolutely beautiful. And there's some things that I'm not quite happy with, that I know that if I don't take care of them now, then by September it's really going to kind of be out of control. So I just want to show you what I am doing. Some of it's going to be a little bit of an experiment, and some of it I know exactly what I'm doing and we're good to go. Now, if you will remember, here in the patio, we have raised beds on two sides of the patio. They flank both our back porch and our garage. We have some shrubs in there, so we've got boxwoods in there, the sprinter boxwoods. We've got the white shishi camellias in here. And then, of course, we have the beloved David Alston roses, that this is their first season for all of this, because this time last year, this patio did not even exist. So we have all those, and then we have tons of flowering annuals. Obviously, this is the first season for the shrubs, so I wanted to use a lot of annuals to kind of bulk up the beds and make them nice and full and beautiful, and they have done exactly that. But some of them need a little maintenance, so that's what we're going to do. And basically, I'm just going to take you through the morning. I have about an hour and a half before, one, we have an appointment. Two, we're racing against the sun because, of course, into July, this space gets tons of sun. The sun hits here first, so we're going to start this way and then work around and try to stay in front of the sun, because once the sun comes up over here, whew, it's hot. So first, I'm going to give you an update on the Supertunia Vista snowdrifts. Remember, again, that was at beginning of July, so it was like 3 weeks ago we were here, and I trimmed the heck out of those things. I mean, I whacked them back, and I think I scared some of y'all because reading your comments, and you're like, Jenny, I just, but look at them. They're gorgeous. I knew they would be. They are nice and thick and full. And in fact, I need to get back in there and prune them a little bit more because they're starting to get into the roses. Will I plant snowdrifts here next year? They're too vigorous. Live and learn, right? I mean, that's just, we all do. So I need to get in there and trim them back, but they are full of flowers. They have bounced back gorgeous. In that video, I did put the time release fertilizer on them, and I said, oh, I'll come back and get the water soluble on them. That never happened, but it's okay. The time release actually has done fantastic, as I knew that it would. And I also think that if I had been using the water soluble, that they would be even more vigorous, obviously, and even more out of control. So I think I'm just gonna hang out with the water soluble on those. And then behind me, you can see that we have here This bed is very prolific. We have got, my boxwoods are in here. This is Diamond Mountain Euphorbia. Diamond Mountain, I know, gets nice and big. It's the biggest of the Diamond series in the Euphorbias. It has clearly done exactly what I wanted to do and has filled in. Maybe a little bit too much. Euphorbia can be a little tricky as far as trimming back. So if I do decide to trim it back a little bit, it would be more just so that it's not overtaking the boxwood. It's not one like the petunias, at least I'm not trying it. It's not like the petunias where you can just like whack it to the ground and it'll come back. I'm sure it would, but it's too pretty and my time crunch is too small that I'm not going to do that. Then we have the Supertunia Mini Vista White. This needs a really big haircut. And then we have the Angelona. This is the Angel Face Cascade Pink. Now, it is Cascade, so it is supposed to have that weeping effect to it. Again, super vigorous, doing great, but I am going to trim this back. And in fact, right before we started the video, Jerry said, no, you're going to do light trimming, right? And I was like, maybe. And we'll see. I'm thinking these guys are going to get more of a pretty big haircut. Definitely the Supertunia is going to, and I think the Angelonas are too. Why not, right? We're going to try it. I need them tight and compact because with that party, we're going to have a good number of people here, and I want the seating wall, or the wall actually, to act as a seating wall. So it's kind of hard to have a seat rather, when you've got flowers falling over the place. So let's just get going, and we're going to get in here and start pruning, and I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. All right, so here we have the Mini Vista Supertunia Mini Vista White, and again, just like my snowdrifts, I'm going to go in here and give it a really good haircut. I may have some bees that are not very happy with me, but in the long run, they will thank me. So your petunias, your superbells, your calibrachoas, a lot of your flowering annuals will respond really, really well to being pruned. So don't be afraid to get in here and trim them back. So what we do is we trim them back and we fertilize. They've got to have food. These guys are big feeders. I mean, you got to think about it, right? If they're producing all of these blooms, then they have to have food in order to sustain that. So I'm not going to take it back quite as bad as I did those snowdrifts, but you can see that it's coming in here and there's not really any blooms. That's because there's too much, and I got a piece of mulch in there. Here we go. One, they're not getting the sun back there because they're underneath the Diamond Mountains. But two, these guys really flower on new branching. So if you're never going to prune them back or trim them, I'm dealing with mulch in here. There we go. Then you can notice that your flower power kind of goes away. And I wanted these to grow into each other, so they're doing what I wanted them to do. But again, you just have to do some maintenance on them. And for me, coming in the garden in the morning is one of my favorite times to be out here. One, obviously it's a lot cooler, but two, it's just a nice way to start the day. So just come in here and really kind of clean it up. So you can see that I haven't completely destroyed the plant, and I say destroyed in a loose term. So not only do you want to go all the way around the edge of the plant, you also want to take some off the top, because even those top pieces can get a little too long and leggy, and we need to get those trimmed back. So see, there you go. I mean, it's not a huge, massive, severe cut. You can still see it. As soon as we get some fertilizer on these guys, give them a week and they will be tight and full of blooms. Now, let's see. I think I have a weed, you know. Yep, there was a weed, tall weed. Okay, so this is where I think I'm just gonna go for it, and I'm gonna trim part of this euphorbia so that it is not all up in my boxwood. This is where it's a little, and I know that these are tough plants because we talked about this on the front porch in one of the videos about my hydrangea, but we had the porches cleaned and painted this early spring, and these annuals were already planted, and our sweet fella, the solution that he used to clean the porches, I thought they were dead. It burned the euphorbia, and I thought they were dead. And while I was like, you know, sick about it, but they weren't big, and I was like, well, we got plenty of time in the season to replace them. Well, clearly, they really liked that, because they immediately, within about, oh gosh, I don't know, 10 days, 2 weeks, I mean, they were thick and full and coming back, but I really thought they were dead. So that's about all I'm gonna do, and I know right now it looks a little odd, but it will fill back in, I promise, so it won't look quite so severe. But this just kind of keeps it held back just for a little bit so that it doesn't completely overtake my boxwood by the end of the season. So right now you can clearly tell that it's been trimmed. Again, give it 2 weeks, that'll have filled in, but it won't completely overtake the boxwood. Now, moving on down to the Angelona, I'm just going to tell Jerry to close his eyes, because I'm going to have fun with this one too. So again, I know this is a cascade. Angelonas do respond well to being pruned. So we're going to come in here and take out all the long leggy, because it's just getting a little bit too out of control. Now, next year, will I plant these here? Probably not. Am I sad I did it this year? Nope, I'm not. I'm happy about it, because they've done exactly what I've wanted them to do. It's just maintenance, y'all. It's gardening. It's getting out there. Plus, you figure out, you know, what's really working, what you need to improve, what can you do different. That's the fun thing about gardening. It's never static. Like, it's never the same. Even if it's the same area, every year is different. And then as my boxwoods and camellias grow, obviously, the less annuals I'm going to need to have in here. So again, not only am I going around the side, but I'm also taking out the top. See, now I had a camellia in there. I don't want to cut the camellia, because if I'm cutting the camellia at this time of year, because these are the camellias that bloom in the fall, like it's probably starting maybe into September, October. So if I were to trim my camellias right now, I'm going to cut off all my blooms, and I do not want to do that. So I'm making sure not to trim back any of the camellia. In fact, I see little buds already. The flower buds are forming. So that's very exciting. Last year I got the newfound, and I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't know why I'm so late to the game, but anyway, I was. Newfound love, appreciation of camellias. Oh my word. Camellias, gardenias, azaleas. You really can't get more iconic southern garden than these beauties. So hopefully, I think Jerry won't have so much of a heart attack with me trimming them back that much. Again, I didn't, you know, completely skin it, but there we go. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to work my way down this bed, do the exact same thing to the Mini Vista Whites, the Cascade Pink, and a little bit of the Euphorbia. So we're just going to mosey on down the line and get these trimmed up. So we have got the first bed trimmed. I think everything is looking really good. Of course, the Diamond Mountain Euphorbia is going to be nice and tall and vigorous. I'm just not ready in this situation to give it really a good trim, haircut, flat top like I did the petunias and the angelonas. If we weren't having the party in September, I probably would go for it. Right now, I'm just gonna be a little apprehensive and not do it. Those angelonas and Mini Vista Whites are gonna bounce back, no problem. So what we're gonna do as far as maintenance on this, as soon as we get everything trimmed, I'm gonna come back and do water-soluble fertilizer. That great Proven Winners water-soluble fertilizer, they respond beautifully to this. So that will help me give it nice, a good shot of food for them. They will bounce right back. Like I said, within 2 weeks, they're gonna be absolutely these beautiful mounds covered in blooms. I am gonna go also ahead and add more of the time release fertilizer from Proven Winners. That's that great granular. So first I'll do the granular, add that in there, and then I'll give everybody a little bucket full of the water-soluble fertilizer. For us, because of that time release fertilizer, on the container it says feeds up to 6 months, but the hotter the temperatures, the faster that it releases fertilizer. I mean, it makes sense, right? So when you go through periods of a lot of intense heat, like we do here in the South and most places in July and August, it can really go pretty quickly. So it is definitely time to give them another shot of that. So that way, when it rains, when they get water, and I'm not out here actually doing this water-soluble fertilizer, they're still getting food. Just makes a huge difference, as you can see from the snow drifts. So we'll get repositioned here, and then we're going to start on the other bed, because the other bed still has the angelonas and the Mini Vista Whites, which I'll do the exact same thing to them, but that's also where the David Austin roses are. So I'm going to show you how I'm maintaining those. In my personal opinion, the bed behind me is getting a little wild and unruly, and that is not the look that I am going for here. Yes, I want it full. It's just getting a little out of control. So what we're going to do is we're going to come in here, and obviously we're going to prune some things back. Angelonas, the Supertunias, yes, they're all getting a major haircut just like their counterparts in the other bed. Now, what else I have in here are some more Sprinter boxwoods. Not going to touch them. They got pruned, remember, back when I think it was when I planted the annuals. So it was back in the spring. We shaped those up. Not going to touch them now. Then the David Austin roses are in here. I'll show you exactly what I'm going to do, but I'm just going to do a light pruning on them. Now, this is my first year growing David Austin roses. In fact, it's really my first year growing any kind of roses. So I am not an expert in roses by any means, but I will share with you some tips and tricks that I have found that made these roses successful for this first year. And then also in here, we have a new trial plant from Walter's Gardens. It is Flamingo. It is a Digiplexus. So it is a cross between a Digitalis and an Isoplexus. Basically, it is they bred the two together because it will be continuous bloomers. So throughout the entire season, we have had these beautiful, just gorgeous, big pink bell trumpet shaped blooms on them. The bumblebees have gone bananas over these things. They love them. But the bloom stalks have gotten too tall. Not too tall, but they're just tall. They just need to be pruned back. These are some things that you need to deadhead. So I'm going to show you how to do that. And then those are the plants that are in here. In the back corner over there, I think you can see the white chiffon rose of Sharon. She's doing great. Not going to touch her. We're just going to let her go. This is not the time of year that I want to prune her, so she is good. So we're just going to first get in here and do all of the angelonas and the petunias. That way we'll get all that kind of craziness out of the way, so then I can really see my roses and the flamingos. So let's get to pruning. the annuals have been pruned back, Angelonas and the mini vistas. Very, very vigorous. You can tell already it looks a lot neater and tidier. So just imagine in 2 weeks them, boop, full of blooms. Now, I am on a time crunch because I think I told you at the very beginning, Jerry and I have an appointment this morning, so we have got to get to that. So I'm not going to get this whole project done right now, but before we leave this morning, I want to show you exactly how I take care of the roses and the flamingos. Super easy. Now, again, a bunch of y'all have asked about how do we take care of roses, keep the funguses off, keep the Japanese beetles off, so forth and so on. So I'm going to share with you what I have used this season, and it has worked beautifully. If you want some more in-depth information about taking care of roses, and David Austin roses specifically, I would really encourage you to go follow their Instagram page and even their website. They have fantastic tutorials on how to plant, how to deadhead, I mean do everything, how to prune, you name it, they have it on there. Also, I know for me, a personal help that has been really great and inspiring, somebody else that's in the South that is dealing and growing David Austin roses, Garden Obsessions. They are in Virginia. Angie and Ambrose do beautiful roses. So I have reached out to them a couple of times, and they are the ones that actually recommended this product to me. So this is the Bio Advanced All-in-One Rose and Flower Care. So we'll put, I don't know if this is how this is going to do, but we'll also put the information right there, and then we will have a link down in the description below where you can go click on that and buy that in Amazon. And I will tell you that that is our storefront in Amazon, so we do get a portion of that purchase. So anything that you purchase on that Amazon storefront from Creekside Nursery, we get a portion of that. So these are products that we use and we believe in, so feel free to go shopping there, but this is where I get mine. The Zon is the easiest thing. Click on it, it comes to your door. Love this though because, like I said, it's a 3-in-1. So it is a fertilizer, so it gives it the food that it needs. It is insect control. The Japanese beetles, aphids, caterpillars, you name it, it does it. And then the disease control. So it has the black spot, powdery mildew, rust, and southern blight. This is a granular. So it's super simple. All you have to do is in the spring, once you see your new leaves emerge, word to hard, we'll get it. Once it starts putting out some new growth in the early spring, you just take this stuff, and it's 1 capful per rose. You just fill up your capful, pull back your mulch, and sprinkle this around the base of the roses. I'm not going to do it today because I just did it the other day. I got ahead of myself before this video and went ahead and treated them. On the container, it says every 6 weeks in the South. With the conditions that we're dealing with, you might find that you have to do it like every 4 weeks, because I was just behind a little bit and the Japanese beetles came and started eating on them. So you'll just have to be a student of your own garden and figure out the exact timing on that. So important thing to keep your roses blooming throughout the season is you need to deadhead. Most of the flowers that we do, I tell you, there's no deadheading involved. Roses, shrubs, completely different. Deadheading is essential to having continuous new blooms. So what is deadheading? Let's look at it. Let's talk about it. Super simple, and it does make a world of difference in your roses. Okay, so right here is the Scepter d'Isle, David Austin. Of course, beautiful pink blooms. These are gorgeous. I'm going to leave them alone. They're very happy. All that burgundy foliage right there, that is new growth. We're leaving them alone. Now, back here in the back, you can see, yes, we have some new growth, but we also have some old blooms. We want to go ahead and get rid of that. So what we're going to do is we are going to come down right here at this base where that new foliage is, and we're simply going to clip it. So that is deadheading. So let's see if we can find another one. Once the whole bloom stalk is gone and has budded out, then you can go ahead and remove that section. Now, but if you will look right here, we've got beautiful new growth. We've got one in full bloom, and then over here we have a bud. But right there in the middle, you can see that we have an old bloom. So we're going to take this again and you're going to snip. There it goes. Now you can see my foliage where the Japanese beetles, let's see, let's get to it. See those daggone holes right there? Yep, Japanese beetles. Thank you very much. And I just found over here. All right, can you see that whole little stalk right there? It has Japanese beetles, damage on it, and we've got 3 old buds right there. So again, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to come down right here because there's new growth right there. And I'm going to go ahead, sorry about that, trying to prune and hold a camera at the same time can be a challenging job. So we want to go ahead and get rid of this because what happens is when you take your old blooms off, the plant stops putting energy into this section of the plant and puts all its energy back into giving you new growth. If you leave these on the plant will start keep putting energy in there and turn it into your rose hips. Now, late in the fall, rose hips would be gorgeous, so I will leave them alone. But for right now, I don't want those. I want those. So this is why we deadhead. So that's what we do with roses. You just constantly come out here, you smell the roses, you enjoy the roses, you see an old bloom, snip. Take it off. That way, again, continuous blooms on your rose bush throughout the season. Now, you'll find that you'll have different flushes with your roses. You'll have a period where it's just covered. You kind of prune everything back. You'll have a couple of weeks of no buds, and then it flushes out again. That's just the cycle of roses. Now, let's look at the flamingos. The flamingos are super simple to prune. Really easy, but again, very vital because you want to deadhead them so they send out more fresh new blooms. All right, so here we have a flamingo. Remember, digiplexus, and my bumblebees are not going to be real happy with me. That's okay, there's plenty of flowers in other places, and in the long run, they will be quite happy. You can see that it's leaning, right? And we want to take care of that. The vast majority of the blooms on here are done. A couple of days ago, this whole thing was just a mass of blooms. So we're going to go in here, and there's one main stalk, and we're going to come in here, and it's pretty thick. There we go. So we're going to take that off. Now, we're going to kind of give it a little shake so any bumblebees that are in there will go away. And you can still see this one. So I'm going to come back here above my leaves and just prune it back. Now that my flamingo is taken care of, now I can see that I need to come in here and prune back this rose bush. So we're going to come in here and just shape it up a little bit. Again, if you will prune it right above where there are a new little branch of leaves, then that will help keep it nice and compact. We're going to take off just that one because this one is just beautiful. So we'll leave that alone. I'm going to go through here on all my flamingos and prune them back. And then that's going to be it that I can do for this morning because, again, we have to leave for that appointment. I will come back and I'm going to water soluble fertilize everything, but I will bring you back for that and then we'll wrap this video up. Through the magic of television, it is now 11 hours later. It is after 8 o'clock at night. It is finally comfortable enough, shall we say, to be out here working on the patio. The only thing I have left to do is to fertilize the annuals. Everything has been pruned back. Everything is doing what it should be doing. I'm just going to go ahead and apply the fertilizer. I am going to first apply the slow release, Proven Winners time release fertilizer. This stuff is fantastic. Again, it's a granular. You can open up the top. It has a little shaker top, or if you're wanting to do, if you don't want to shake it, then that's fine. Then you can open it up, and there is a clear little scoop in there that you can just scoop it and sprinkle it around. Whichever floats your boat, just go for that. So all of the annuals, which will just be the Angelonas and then the Mini Vista Whites, will get a little shaker of this. And then I'm going to go back with the water-soluble fertilizer. So if you've used water-soluble fertilizers before, this is really no different. Inside, it has 2 packs of the granular, and it comes with your little scoop. It is 1 scoop per gallon of water. because I'm doing a good bit of this, I have a 5-gallon bucket that I just mix up. Obviously, I put 5 scoops of water-soluble fertilizer in there. And then these little buckets are fantastic for watering. So I have another one. I could use this one, but I have another one. So each plant is going to get 1 bucket full of water-soluble fertilizer. And again, remember, when you're watering and when you're fertilizing your annuals, you're not concerned about getting the foliage wet. You want that to go to the roots. So I'm not going to pour it around. I'm basically just going to go to the center of the plant and pour it in. Now, some of you who are longtime gardeners or who've been gardening for a while may be going, well, Jenny, you know, it's getting to be nighttime and you're out here going to be putting water on your plants. I am for this one time. One time will not hurt these guys to get a little damp overnight. The reason that people may be saying that is because if you make a consistent practice of watering your plants at night, like getting them wet, then that kind of invites some more funguses, some bacteria to grow, and then like snails and slugs, because the plant stays damp for a long period of time and doesn't dry out. Snails and slugs, of course, are more nocturnal, so they could come out if you did this on a consistent basis. One time is not going to hurt. I could easily do this tomorrow morning. All honesty, I wanted to wrap this video up so that we could get it to you quicker. So that's what we're going to do. We're just going to set the camera up and you are going to see me mix it up on that 5-gallon bucket and then give everybody a little bit of dose of water, and then I will meet you back right here in just a couple minutes. Done. Okay, my friends, the project is done. It literally took all day. Kind of, sort of, not really. But it is done. So everybody has been trimmed back. Everybody has been fertilized. Now, you may have noticed that I did not fertilize the Diamond Mountains. As I talked about this morning, they're doing great. I do not need them to grow anymore. I just need them to hold what they've got. So I did not give them water-soluble fertilizer and or the time release. I may go back and give them time release later on if they start to show some need for it. But again, I do not want them to take off with any more new growth because they are perfect just the way they are. Obviously, they'll keep getting water. Other than that, they are great. I will keep you updated on this section. We will come back here. I will show you how everybody is filling in, thickening up. Of course, remember, beginning of September is like the ultimate goal to make everything beautiful and keep everything beautiful rather for that wedding party. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and answer some questions for you. First of all, yes, we do have the paint. Jerry got to the paint store to get that board painted back there. Remember, we had an above ground pool. There was a deck. When we painted the house, that board was below the deck, hence it did not get painted. Now that these plants have been pruned back, now would be the perfect time to go in there and paint that to get rid of that unsightly different color board. There we go on that. Then the patio deck boxes rather, they basically need to have done to them what I did today. They need to be pruned back, they need to be tidied up. I hope to be able to show that to you because again, they have, honestly, I've really kind of neglected them here lately, just a lot of stuff going on. So they need some love and attention. So I will show you exactly what I do to that so that they too will have their best foot forward for the wedding party in September. I hope you have found this helpful. I hope you have found it informative, something that you can use in your garden. So as always, thank you so much for gardening with Creekside. Y'all have a fantastic day. We'll see you in the next video. Bye, friends.